Wilson.
Yawei Liu, a leading scholar on U.S. China relations and Chinese history, offers a unique perspective on World War II from China's vantage point. We met at our studios in Washington, D.C. When you think about, the war crimes that occurred there at Auschwitz, they're very similar to what happened in Harbin. People were tortured and murdered, and yet I think you could walk down the street here in Washington, D.C., no one knows about it. Why is that?
I think there are multiple reasons about that. Most of the Chinese at the time, they were running away from the brutality. So it was only the missionaries, foreigners that stayed in Nanjing. And now recently there are movies about their effort. But back then, this was not widely reported. I'm not aware of the rape of Nanjing until very late. There was no museum there to acknowledge what happened. 300,000, 400,000 innocent Chinese were killed over there. And of course, the 731, that story was long overdue. It didn't come to light until very late. So all these details slowly came up to light. And finally, China acknowledged it. And now December the 13th is the National Mourning Day. If you look at when that started, it was very late, 15 years.
It is now my duty to call for a vote on the approval of the Charter of the United Nations.
The United Nations was founded in 1945 after World War II to promote peace and prevent future global conflicts. One of the things that emerged after World War II, of course, is the creation of the United Nations. And it seems as though one of the lessons China has gotten out of this is an embrace of multilateralism of the UN. Can you talk about what are some of the things that emerged as a result of the end of the World War II?
I think at the end of the war, we need to be grateful for FDR, who envisioned, an international organization that would be operating differently from the League of Nations that was created by President Wilson after World War I. And the lesson learned by FDR is you need to give big powers the veto power. Otherwise, these big powers, they're not going to participate in this multilateral arrangement. So that lesson was learned. And then we have the UN Security Council, we have the UN, we also have the 5 permanent members. And China, actually, I think Roosevelt insisted that we need a big power from the Far East, and China played a very important role. I think it was, from the hindsight, it was a great decision. And also, it was a belated acknowledgement of the role China played in World War II.
As you look back in the past, during World War II and the cooperation that went on, as we move towards the future and the present, what can we learn from that relationship during those really troubled times and these troubled times that can help us moving forward?
Yeah, I think there are lots of lessons. Diplomacy is very, very important. All the diplomats that China had in the U.S. and how they worked with American companies, how they work with American NGOs, how they work with American media people, how they work with ordinary citizens of the U.S. It created a different public opinion that called for the support of China. I think we do need to engage each other. We do need to try all our best to make the other side perceive us more objectively, because misperception leads to miscalculation, and miscalculation will lead to wrong decisions that will easily trigger conflict.
It's been a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Mike, for inviting me.